upcoming senior. I play men's soccer. I went to high school at St. Henry in Erlanger, Kentucky, just across the bridge. Uh, the Mount was always like a second home to me. I lived on campus my first 2 years, commuted my junior year. It's very similar to my high school, so I've always found it a place that I could call home.
Justin. So during this panel today, you have an administrative perspective, a student perspective, and also if you have any questions that are specific to coaches, I think I failed to mention this at the beginning. I work in the Office of Admission as a traditional counselor. However, I am the assistant softball coach at the Mount as well. So I can give you that perspective throughout the panel if any questions come in regarding that. So first up, I want to start with our student athletes, and I just want to kind of dive into your recruiting process. Thinking back to that process, can you give us a little insight as to the process as a whole, coming from a student athlete perspective, and what truly made you pick Mount St. Joseph University? Nate, we'll start with you, and then go Aaliyah, and then Justin.
So I was recruited mainly as a track and field athlete. I didn't really want to play football at the college level, but really I visited with the Mount Thomas More, and Otterbein was speaking to me, but the Mount was different because it was very close to my house. I only live about 5-10 minutes away from the Mount, but which kind of made me scared at first. Was just I didn't know if I wanted to go to college that close to home, but I'm glad I even took a visit because I wasn't originally going to, and I'm really glad I did because it really did feel like a second home. I ended up taking 2 separate visits and meeting with Coach Tina Blakely and her associates. Really helped me figure out which place was best for me and best for me, not only from an athletic perspective, but from a student's perspective too, because academics does come first. But just looking at the school athletically, it was a great fit. Felt like a second home, and just it was a little bit different than high school, but it was just a lot better for my situation to stay closer to home than to go away.
Right. And that's great to hear, Nate, because you mentioned some other smaller institutions that are very similar to us, but the feeling that you had here and how that connected with you, that's great to hear. So Aaliyah, how did your recruiting process go?
So I was recruited from Roger Bacon High School. Coach Barrett came to one of my games, and we talked afterwards, and I really liked his energy. And I really thought it was it sounded very familiar and family-like, and I really wanted to look more into that. So I end up coming to the Mount and visiting and meeting with Coach Barrett again, and just meeting some of the teammates and looking at the locker room and everything. And I really loved it. I also was being looked at by a Division II NAIA school, and then I went to visit there, and I felt different about the Division II athletes and Division III, and I kind of just made a pros and cons list at the end of the day, and Mount St. Joseph definitely had more pros for me. I definitely wanted to focus on my education as well, and not just sports and everything. And I really wanted to be, if I wanted to do it, then I wanted to do it. And Division III sports are based on passion, so if I didn't want to do it anymore, I didn't want to be, tied to anything. So I really loved the Mount, and it was very close to home, actually 3 minutes away from my house. So I didn't even know that until I, visited. But when I got there, it felt like home. As everyone is saying here, it felt like home. Everyone was very friendly, and it was very welcoming. So that's why I chose the Mount.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaliyah. All right, Justin, what about you?
I actually had a bit of a different experience. I originally came to the Mount strictly off of academics. I wasn't even sure if I was going to play in college. But so I decided to go to the Mount. I went on my visit, or I went on my tour. I loved the university and everything that it offered. And then, as a side note, one of my coaches that I was playing with for club told me to reach out to Coach Rudy. And so I emailed him. We got together. He came to some of my games. And then I came to one of the Mounts rivalry games during conference week. I think it was against Defiance. And it was just an awesome environment with Coach Rudy and the team. And the more time I spent around the guys, the more I wanted to play. And so I pretty much dove head first in from there.
Great to hear. All right, so I'm going to give our athletes a couple minutes to take a little break, maybe grab some water. But let's switch gears and talk to Melanie about, obviously COVID-19 is on the forefront of everyone's brains right now. And the questions are, what good things are happening around campus despite our current conditions? Can you talk maybe a little bit about, Centennial Fieldhouse and what we have, some new additions on campus?
Absolutely, Dee Dee, that's a great question because there's definitely some things still going on, and it's kind of good to see. I was just on campus the other day, and the Centennial Building, which is a 6-lane indoor track with probably 3/4 of the interior is turfed for practices. The last quarter that's left open on inside the oval of the track, we will have a tennis court, and it will also be the setup for high jump for indoor track meets. And also off of that 6-lane track is what we are calling the Wedge. It's actually the Austin E. Knowlton Fitness Center is the official name of it. And it is a 2-floor, looks like a piece of pie wedge that's on the side of the building. It will house on the top floor of that, it will house a fitness area that will have cardiovascular stuff, some what I would call Nautilus type machinery, not free weights. Free weights will remain in the Harrington Center. It will have a multi-purpose room that we'll be able to use for group fitness classes. We'll have some stationary cycling bikes that'll be able to go in there for cycling classes. And then whatever else we kind of come up with as it evolves. That's most of the top floor. There's a little bit of an entrance area, obviously, and we're going to move the Athletic Hall of Fame inside of that building, which is going to be phenomenal. Blake, our sports information director, has been working hard on that piece of it, as well as most of the building, but specifically on that piece. The downstairs portion of that building will have multi-purpose locker rooms for just the general student body. And it will also have some team locker rooms for some of our teams on campus that don't currently have locker rooms, or that just need more because they're growing in size and they need a little bit more space. We'll also have a semi-functional training room. And I say that because we'll be right next to the Harrington building, so it won't have everything inside of it that our other 2 training rooms will, but it will have a taping area, ice machine, that sort of a thing. So it's fun to watch it. We've been off campus for a little while, and you can watch it on some of the videos we put up on YouTube and watch it kind of go up, but to actually see it in person, it's a huge building. And it's just kind of fun to go there and see it in person. That's the biggest thing with athletics. We're working on small things everywhere. Our interior floors in the Harrington Center on both our big gym and our smaller gym were redone this year, as they are every year. We had some new paint put down on it and some new things in addition to just the general re-waxing and cleaning of the floors. We have at our softball field down on River Road has a turfed outfield, which looks phenomenal. I'm sure Dee Dee, I was going to say, I know Dee Dee wants a smile right now. I will tell you guys a quick nightmare story. We hosted the softball championships last year because we were the #1 team in the conference, which was awesome. But it literally rained all weekend, similar to what it's doing now. And I have never pushed more water off a tarp in my life with a broom. I've never done it, period. But we did it day and night that week. So having this turf outfield down there is really going to be helpful. We're excited about it. It looks great. Coaching staff's done a great job making sure it's exactly what they want. And so that's a lot of fun. Trying to think what else has been being worked on. Everything is. We replaced our turf on the football, soccer, lacrosse field 2 summers ago. So all of our facilities are up and running, and we're excited to get students back on campus.
Definitely. Back to that softball field. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I think all the rain was a blessing in disguise. So
I think you're right.
I think if you all didn't have to work as hard as you did, then we may not have been as fortunate enough to get the turf. So very, very excited for that and thankful. So staying with you, Melanie, for a minute. So in your role as an administrator, how do you feel that you're able to connect with student athletes on a daily basis? We constantly we value our relationships with the students here at the Mount, and, especially within our athletics department, we try to build those relationships cross sports and with administration. How do you feel like you do that on a daily basis?
You know what? That's a great question too, Dee Dee. I would say that myself and my boss, Steve Radcliffe, our director of athletics, our doors are always open to our student athletes. If you just want to stop in and say hello, we certainly want to have those conversations with you. We want to help you in any way that we can. One of the things that's really been helpful for me in the last probably 2 years is we've developed a co-op in athletics. We have a lot of student workers that work in athletics, but we actually have a co-op that I've been able to hire to help me with specific things. Running of game management. And it's really fun to kind of get to know student athletes that way. We try to be at as many games as we can be at. We try to watch our student athletes, play their sport and then interact with them in the stands and that sort of a thing. But it's just I think it's a close-knit group. I will be the first to tell you, I did not do a great job of that early in my career in administration. And I think over the last couple of years, I've done a better job of that. I know Steve is really good with talking with our student athletes and making sure that they have what they need. But the biggest thing I think I can say is just that it's not just athletics, it's everywhere on campus. If you need something, all you have to do is ask, and somebody's going to help as much as they possibly can.
That's 100% true. Thanks, Melanie, on that. So next up, back to our current student athletes. I want to talk about just being like the whole person that we embody as a Division III athlete. How do you feel? Well, first, let's give me some of the clubs, some of the other activities that you're involved in on campus. And then I want to know how you manage to do all that at the same time. So how do you time manage? How do you prioritize? How do you do everything you want to do? Be involved, play your sport, get good grades. How do you do all that? And how do you manage that on a daily basis?
So right now I'm co-oping in the sports information. I'm a co-op for sports information along with our director of sports information, Blake Watson. I've been working with him for about a year now, and I absolutely love it. Something I love to do, goes right in with my major in sport management. So that's also a lot of time though. And being a student athlete while also in a club, I am the vice president of the sport administration of sport management, student association of sport management managers. I'm the vice president of that club, along with our president, Jack Spahn, who is on the men's volleyball team. It's a lot to kind of take in at first, but I do think the more you're involved, the more you'll get out of the Mount in general, not even with athletics. I typically try to manage my time through school, my club, my work, and my sport. I try to make a list on a calendar and just try to get everything down of what I need to do, and just try to knock it out day by day, hour by hour. Because if you're not organized and you don't have proper time management, you're going to get overwhelmed. And I think that's easy for a lot of young students to do, is to get overwhelmed with everything. It's a completely new world when you come into college, very different from high school. So I think if you just take the time to sit down and figure out what you need to do and when you need to do it, things will come a lot easier, and you'll be having fun while also creating relationships and finding new people on campus, finding new stuff to do, and getting yourself involved with all the great things that are on this campus, not just in athletics. There are a lot in athletics though.
So I before COVID, I was working at our technology center on campus as a student worker. And I also obviously work in admissions as a campus ambassador, give tours to prospective students. And I also am part of campus activities board, and I'm the traditional chair. So I plan like our traditional events like homecoming and all that stuff that hopefully will happen next year. And also I'm a part of our SAC. So that basically is where student athletes are representatives of their teams, and they'll come together and basically find ways for how student athletes can get more involved on campus and plan events. So there's a couple of things that I do, but I believe that getting more involved actually helped me with my time management. It kind of sounds crazy, but having more to do helped me kind of figure out when I had time to do homework, when I had time for a meeting and all that kind of stuff. And also when I was a freshman, we were required to do at least 8 hours of study tables a week. So that really helped me with my time management and figuring out like the time that I do have before practice or after a game to do homework and still be involved on campus, which I love being involved because it also, makes your college experience more, well-rounded. So.
Aaliyah, is there anything else that you can get involved in? I mean, dang. Really?
I'm trying not to.
Hey, but so are you a procrastinator, like by nature? Do you procrastinate?
No, not really, but I think now that, well, not now, but after COVID, when I was at home not doing anything, I became a procrastinator because I had nothing to do. So
see, that's what I was gonna say. That structure gave you only had 2 hours for homework, so you had to get it done.
Yeah, it's like stay on task, but after that, it was all over the place.
It was the same way because I'm actually more on task in season than I am out of season. Because once you get out of season, like you don't have practice to worry about, so you don't have more deadlines throughout the day as opposed to like I have to finish it in a week. It's like no, I have to finish it because I have practice and clubs and games and everything until then. So I have to get it done now. And I think that helped me a lot as well. I've had 2 co-ops on campus, one off campus, one on campus. I've been a peer tutor. I've done campus ambassadors, obviously. I'm the student advisor for our peer health educator group. And I've basically tried everything on campus that I could have tried. And going into that is basically as a freshman and sophomore, you don't have to really worry about putting extra effort into getting involved. A great majority of the time, all you have to do is say yes. Because a lot of people are coming at you with, do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to be a part of this? And then junior year, it's, do you want to be responsible? Or do you want to be put into a leadership position for this? Because people are always looking. And if you make yourself kind of known just by interacting with other people, like the opportunities will come to you and all you have to do is say yes. And like sophomore year for me was a time when I got to realize how much was too much and when to take a step back and when to kind of hit things full force. And that's kind of what helped me manage my time, is determining what was important and what you can say yes to and what you have to say no to.
Justin, how did you know that like you were at that point where like you needed to say no?
So I think it was between my second semester sophomore year and my first semester junior year. It's like when you have to start sacrificing work for certain classes for things outside of academics, essentially, then that's when was my point to like take a step back and I can't go 100% all the time. So like when my classwork got called into question was when I had to stop.
Yeah, that's a great point right there. You definitely, you're a student first and then an athlete. So that's something to definitely keep in mind for all those athletes out there watching. So back to Melanie, and kind of based off some of these responses from our student athletes, can you give us an idea, and obviously this is going to be general, the difference between a traditional and a non-traditional season for our sports, and then also the different like academic resources that we have put in place from not just overall, we have many academic resources on campus for all students, but what we have in place right now for our athletes.
Sure. And first of all, I'd like to just say, if you listen to all 3 of our student athletes, they talked about all the stuff they were involved in. And that's part of being a Division III student athlete. You have the ability to do that. It's not just schoolwork and athletics. It's the whole, as Aaliyah said, it's the whole picture. It's the whole part of being a student. And that's how you build your resume. And those are, some of the things that are really important moving forward after school and after athletics. So as far as what we have on campus to support that, and there's a lot, as Dee Dee said, and I'm going to kind of touch real lightly on some of them and others a little bit more, but we do have a learning center on campus that is for all students. It is free tutoring. You don't find that at many institutions. You can go in when they're open and sign up for somebody to read your paper and go over it. A math tutor. If you have specific classes that are beyond the 100 level classes, which would basically be your freshman introductory classes, you can ask for a tutor and they'll find somebody for you if they don't already have somebody in the Learning Center. So that is available for all students on our campus. We have the Excel program, which is a different program that's available for any student on our campus with a documented learning disability. And they work specifically with those students, which has been a huge help to some students with learning disabilities. As far as
if I can interrupt right there real
Sure.
quick, as far as the Project Excel goes, if I can put a little plug, as I mentioned, I coach softball as well, and we had a student several years ago that decided to get involved. She had been struggling academically, decided to get involved in Project Excel, and within a year she was on the dean's list. So just the support that they get in that program is, I mean, it's hard to even describe.
Absolutely, agree with that. We have instituted in athletics over the last 2 years, study tables, as Aaliyah talked about, and there's different levels of them. As you come in as a freshman, regardless of what your GPA is and regardless of what your SAT or ACT score is, you are required to take a certain amount of study hall hours through the athletic department. Some coaches require more, but the athletic department, says a certain amount. And that is not because we don't trust you as students. It's because of exactly what Justin and Nate referred to is your time is crunched. And if you don't know how to navigate that, and if you don't know how to put that together without mom breathing down your back or dad breathing down your back, telling you it's time to do your schoolwork, you're going to wind up getting a little bit behind. So we kind of do that for you. You can earn your way out of study hall if you want to by getting good grades, by maintaining a certain GPA. You can stay in study hall all 4 years by not doing those things. Or if you would choose to, if you have a 4.0 and you're doing great in your courses, but you know that study tables are really helping you focus and manage your time, you are welcome to stay in those as well. Rick Thompson runs those. He's one of our football coaches, but he is very, very involved, and he's part-time football and part-time academic resources. He is extremely involved with all student athletes, not just football players. He takes on all student athletes, and he makes it so that the tutors are there. I think did I freeze up there for a minute?
I think so.
Okay. So I'll go back shortly, but he just makes sure that the tutors are there. And again, if you need any help in any specific class, you can ask Rick, and he can find somebody. That will help you. So those are the major ways. Our coaching staffs are incredible. We found it necessary to do a retention coordinator with Rick Thompson, because our coaching staff, really everybody from every sport, spent a ton of time working with our student athletes, and it was so much that we knew we needed a position to take that over. Your coaches will always be there. There's not a coach on our campus that doesn't want you to succeed academically, and so they will always be there to help you, in addition to every other resource we have on campus.
And just to piggyback off of what Melanie was saying with Rick being active within all sports, I could not agree with that more. I mean, if I see the guy walking across campus, I know it's going to be a 30-minute conversation, because he's going to tell me about all my players and what they're doing and where they're at. And so just that connection between all sports with Rick, that's definitely a great resource for all of our athletes. So moving from the academic portion, I want to talk about more of like the fun. So fun at MSJ, like what do you all do as student athletes? What do you do for fun? What like maybe local restaurants, local things related to Cincinnati? Obviously I know a lot of these are going to be prior to COVID-19 or maybe post COVID-19. But let's just, let's talk like in our normal everyday when life is normal. What do you enjoy doing around the city, around campus? What do you get involved in?
One of my favorite things to do, not that many people like go to it, but I love the Cyclones. I love hockey. They're a minor league team, but it's kind of crazy just to go out there and see them do what they do, because at least from my perspective, I can't skate, and seeing them skate that quickly and how mobile they are it's crazy to me. But I
Great,
love
I'd like
all
to see
sports.
you on skates.
Right. Maybe before you graduate, we'll see
All
that.
right.
Yeah, I don't know, but I love watching the Cyclones. The atmosphere there is amazing. I love all the sports in town. FC Cincinnati, another great place to go. I know they're building a new stadium, but back when they were in the USL, it was really fun to go see that because we had one of the most electric fan bases within that league. The Reds games, Bengals games are all fun to go to. Something else. There's a lot of clubs on campus that you can get involved in your off time. I know one that I love to do is definitely cornhole. I'm very good at cornhole. I love playing cornhole. But I mean, there's 3v3 soccer, basketball, flag football, a lot of stuff you can do out intramurals outside of your typical sports that are fun to do and can take up some of your free time while having fun with your teammates and people you meet along the way at the mount.
Right. And just to put a little plug in for the city, for those that are watching at home that may not know exactly where we're located in the Cincinnati area, we are 2 turns from downtown Cincinnati. So we're about 12 minutes away from downtown, but we're literally 2 turns away. Aaliyah, what do you do for fun?
I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that's true.
Girl, it's true.
But I'm a little biased because I'm part of campus activities board. So I love going to all of our events. I also love bingo. Bingo is the best, even though I never win. Sad. But
so remind me again, Aaliyah, how often is bingo offered? Is it
I believe bingo is once a month on I think it's the first Tuesday. And it starts at like 9:30. So it's like a lot of people can come because it's after practice and after everything. And they give away humongous prizes like AirPods, TVs, refrigerators, all that kind of stuff. But I love bingo.
Have you won anything?
Never. It's so many people. It's like so many people.
Still go back for more.
I know, and I still go every time.
I don't think she pays attention and marks the numbers is what happens, Aaliyah.
Right.
Something. Bingo, yeah, bingo. I love going, like she said, downtown is fun. Clifton is not far away. So it's just UC's campus, University of Cincinnati, and you can get like good food over there. Around here, it's like a lot of fast food, not really like probably like 15 minutes away. There's Target and stuff like that if you love shopping like me. But yeah, mostly I love our on-campus events, and also we have off-campus events like we go to Kings Island and it's only like $5 for a ticket, and that's probably my favorite event. We go to the Festival of Lights, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Just to put in here real quick, restaurants. Wild Mike's by far has the best wings in Cincinnati, and it's on. I think, in my opinion, they have the best wings.
You like Wild Mike's? I've never had their wings.
It's literally about 2 minutes from my house.
Okay.
So if I wanted to, I could walk there, but I've been going there for forever, and I think they're the best.
So those watching, you have to jot it down, put a little note in your phone or on a piece of paper. You got to go to Wild Mike's.
Not even 5 minutes from the mouth. It's on Delhay Pike, which literally is on the street.
I mean, like, you can have Wild Mike's or you can have literally any other fast food restaurant you could possibly imagine, either on Delhi or Glenwood. Like, if you can think about it, we probably have it somewhere, like, within the range. Also, it's like, you talked about all of the teams, like the Bengals, Reds games, FCCs, like, almost every major sports team is located in Cincinnati somewhere. Also, like, I think Nate hit on it a little bit, just spending time with your teammates, like, every sports team feels like a family bond more than just athletics. And I feel like almost, correct me if I'm wrong, almost every team has a couple of seniors or juniors that moved into a house or an apartment or something together. And a lot of times, if there's, in the rare occasions, there's nothing to do on campus or you don't want to go down to Cincinnati, a lot of people would just hang out like as a team, like in somebody's house or apartment, and just like, watch a game or do whatever.
I would definitely agree with that, Justin. I mean, being a previous athlete, and I know Melanie can probably attest to this too. I mean, the memories that you make off the field are generally the ones you remember even a little bit more. So, and treasure
Absolutely.
a lot longer. So, that's definitely a great point, Justin. So we're going to wrap up here with a couple additional questions. Students, I want to end with you on how do you feel that the Mount is preparing you for your next step? So do you feel like your resume is getting up to par? What resources are you using to be ready for that next step? And then I would also like for you to give one little piece of advice to these incoming student athletes specifically. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start there.
Yeah, something I can talk about here is my co-op that I have within the sports information department. That in itself is really gearing me for what I want to do. I didn't really, going into my co-op, I didn't know if I was going to really go into sports information. I really wasn't sure. But now that I've been in it for a year, I really love what I do within that position. And I think being under our director of sports information, Blake, for 3 years is going to prepare me to take the next step and either get a graduate assistant position or move into the line of work within sports information. And then one little piece of advice I would give is get involved. And the only reason why I got that co-op, he was looking to both of his current co-ops when I was a freshman. Both his current co-ops were graduate students and were leaving. Um, they both got jobs, and he didn't have anyone to work for him, so he was coming into our sport management classes and just speaking to us about the position and how you can apply. And I kind of thought, well, I'm only a freshman. I don't know if I'll get it, but might as well try. And I ended up landing position, and I've been in it for a year now, and I'm only going to be a junior. So if you think you can't do something, think twice about it, because I got involved and look, I'm have a co-op as a sophomore, not even a sophomore. I had to get a waive because I was a freshman technically when I started in the summer, and I didn't take that professionalism class yet. So I had to get that waived. But if you think you can't do something on campus, try it anyway. And the worst they can do is tell you no. And the best thing you can do is try again.
That's great, Nate. Thank you. Aaliyah, I think you're muted. It's okay.
Sorry, guys. I was I definitely think the Mount has prepared me for even after graduation. I definitely came to the Mount for the 4+1, which is a business management and business degree. So you can get bachelor's in 4 years and MBA in 1 year. So that'll definitely be on my resume. And also everything on campus is like, you can put on your resume. Like, it's just great. Like, you can go to the career center. You can become a part of a lot of programs through there. There's the summer employment program, which I did last summer, and I got to work in HR at DePaul-Christo-Rey High School. And I got to learn about, all the good things about human resources, even things that I didn't think I would know. And even though I don't think that I'll be going to human resources, it was a great experience. And now I know what I want to do after graduation. So that was definitely something I could put on my resume. All the things that I'm involved in, like Nate said, all the things that you're involved in can go on your resume. So yeah, definitely getting involved helps you build a resume, and Mount St. Joseph has so many opportunities for you to get involved that it's really easy. And the professionalism classes that he spoke about can help you build your resume as well, and cover letter and all that kind of stuff. So
Kind of building on that, the more stuff you get involved in, the more likely you'll figure out what you want to do. Because if you try something and you figure out you don't like it, then you know not to go down that path. And if you find something you really love to do, you can really pursue that and put that on your resume. But the more opportunities you take, and opportunities you take advantage of will help you figure out what you really want to do. And I know as an incoming freshman, you might not truly know what you want to do, because I didn't for sure. I knew kind of, but I didn't know exactly. And I think the more experiences you have, not just at the Mount, but the co-ops that you take off campus that they're able to offer, will help you figure out really what you want to focus on.
I think off that as well. I came in thinking that I knew exactly what I was going to do. I had my mind set from senior year of high school to be physical therapist. That's what drew me to the Mount because our program is stellar here. But as I kind of got into the first semester of last year, as I got dove further and further in through the opportunities the Mount provides, I realized that it might not be for me. And now I was stuck second semester of my junior year of college, having no clue what I wanted to do anymore after that. And I was able to figure out even more through a co-op, through different opportunities of people reaching out, because at this point, like, we're such a small, tight-knit community that I'm I know the people of the higher management staff at the Mount, like Warren Grove, the assistant dean of students, and other people that work in that his office. So they were able to help me find opportunities. And now I can explore through Coach Rudy, the soccer coach, if I want to do experiences that way after college, or even through the world of like esports or something like that. So I was able to get exposed to a wide variety of things in like 2 months, just because of all of the things that the Mount can provide. So I think like my biggest piece of advice that most of us are all sharing is to just take advantage of the things that are here and available to you, because there's a plethora of them.
Sorry, my dog just joined.
Boy or girl? She or he is cute.
He's an idiot. He's a boy. But thank you.
Oh goodness. All right. So thanks. I want to say thanks to our student athletes. There's definitely some great advice there. While we are wrapping up, I'm going to ask Melanie one more question from an administrator point of view. But while we're wrapping up, those watching at home, please, if you have any questions that you want to ask about athletics, please put those in the comment section right now so that we can get those answered for you before this panel is over. But moving on to Melanie to wrap it up. So you've been here for 15 years. You've seen a lot of graduates come and go. What do you, if you had to kind of pinpoint one or two things, what do you hope that our student athletes take with them as they leave the Mount and move into their future careers?
Another good question, Dee. I think one of the things I've really seen is I think that our athletes, our student athletes, and our students in general, honestly, but the student athletes I know more so than the regular student body. I think that they're creative and innovative when they leave. And I think that is one of the things that you really do get from the Mount being a smaller institution. I think that you are encouraged to, as all of our panelists have said, to join groups, to lead in those groups, to be, to have thoughts and want to do things. I know Aaliyah talked about homecoming and developing that. I mean, those are big things that a lot of kids come out of colleges and universities and, mom and dad have spent a lot of money or they have a lot of bills and they haven't developed those real life things that work for them. The best example I can think of right offhand is I have a former women's basketball player that actually played for me. She has opened a home, a nonprofit organization. They've opened a home in Texas. I'm trying to remember what city. I don't remember, Austin maybe, where they work with single moms and single pregnant women, and give them a place when they're struggling through some things, give them a place to be safe and have their children and babies and raise them. And she developed that completely on her own. And I've been at the Mount for 15 years, like I said, going on 15. She, I think, played for me for 3 years when I was here. So she's only been out of school for probably 10 years because she went on and got her master's and has already done that in 10 years. I mean, that's incredible what she's done. And there's a lot of stories like that. I know one of our inductees to the Athletic Hall of Fame is doing some work like that. He's an executive director of a Boys and Girls Club in the Los Angeles area. So they're doing great things. And I really attribute that to being able to be such a part of the Mount community and not just another number and not just another peg that's on a board somewhere. Like you guys actually get to experience real life, I think. So for me, Dee, that's it. They go out ready to face the world and ready to get a job. And one of the things that we haven't talked about, and I know we're kind of running out of time, but our career center is so good. And you've heard all of our panelists talk about co-ops and what they've done and given them real life experience. And the fact that they'll help you with your resume and they'll help you do those things. We have something called the TOP program, which I'll let you either ask about or get involved in on your own, but that is another way to actually go about getting some experiences on campus that you wouldn't necessarily get without being in that program. But upon graduation, there's also something, and Dee Dee probably knows it better than I do, the official name of it, but there's a program in place that if you are not employed, gainfully employed, or admitted to a graduate program within like 6 months, we have a special service from the Mount that works with you, rewriting resume, trying to get you experiences, trying to get things put in place so that you can actually obtain that job. And so we're not taking your money and running away. We're with you for the long haul.
Right. And with that said, we want you to be successful after graduation. And I think that's to attest to our career outcomes rate, which is 99.6. So 99.6% of our graduates are going out and either getting a job or enrolling in a master's program or doctorate program, depending on what field of study. They're going out and they're being successful, like Melanie said. They're not back at home on mom and dad's couch. They're not wasting, the money, the time, the effort that they put in their undergraduate studies. They're going out and being successful young adults. So as we wrap up here today, I could not thank Melanie, Nate, Aaliyah, Justin. Thanks so much for all the information that you've given us today. Hopefully you all at home, you have a better idea of what it means to be a part of the Mount St. Joseph University athletic program, and what it means to these students to be able to be an athlete, be a student, be involved, and prepare for their future. And, as I said, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you're staying safe and healthy. And remember, we are MSJ.